Hey, what's up guys, Mikey here. Summer's here, and that means it's time to have some fun. I'm gonna order season passes to my local amusement park. Oh, what do you know, the amusement park's closed for the summer because it needs an overhaul. Well, I don't know what to do now. So I guess I'll have to watch Krabby Land to remind me of better times. Krabby Land is the episode where Mr. Krabs cobbles together a playground and a clown in an attempt to drive kids to the Krusty Krab to buy Krabby Patties while they're on summer break. This episode aired on April 3rd, 2004 and is also known as
You Stink! Bring on the clown!
Kids wanting to see a clown more than uniquely shaped bubbles. This episode also features Mr. Krabs as the antagonist again, but I'd argue in a bit less of a mean-spirited way than most of the previous examples we talked about. At least here he tries to do something for the children, which backfires big time on himself. Yeah, I know, I'm really stretching here. I just don't really have much to say right now. But if that's the case, what does that mean for the episode as a whole? Well, the only way to find out is to watch it and remember how happy we all were on the first day of summer, even though summer break had already started. So the episode starts up and SpongeBob had a cup of drinkable French toast for breakfast made by Gary before going to work. He looked at his calendar and saw that it was the first day of summer. He went to the Krusty Krab and tried to get Squidward in on the summer spirit, but Squidward said he wasn't much of a summer person. I will say, as much as I like the winter snow more than the summer heat when I was a kid, that comment is coming from the same guy who loves to sunbathe all the time. Mr. Krabs heard it was the first day of summer and was absolutely overjoyed. SpongeBob wondered what the hell it was about summer that everybody loves, and Mr. Krabs told SpongeBob how the kids are done with school for roughly 2.5 months and are on summer break in the meantime, and how they can spend their money without their parents around. Damn, Bikini Bottom must have some parents then. Mr. Krabs started waiting for the kids to show up to sell them Krabby Patties, and SpongeBob thought he had learned the true meaning of summer. Did SpongeBob seriously not have a summer break when he was growing up? Later. It was almost closing time, and no one showed up at all. Mr. Krabs was sad, but then they noticed a playground in the distance that all the kids were at. They went there and spied on the kids. Mr. Krabs saw all the kids having fun and caused a scene himself because he was so sad that the kids may not leave the playground to come to the Krusty Krab to eat fast food now. Then he got an idea and left SpongeBob behind to get started on it. The next day, SpongeBob was walking to work when he saw that Mr. Krabs had opened a new play area behind the Krusty Krab for the kids to play in called Krabby Land. As long as they have some cash on them. Mr. Krabs declared Krabby Land open to the kids, who also promised to come inside and have Krabby Patties if they get hungry. When he unveiled it, it turns out it was a piece of shit playground. Well, that's the result of rushing your work. After a kid hurt himself, Mr. Krabs handed out coloring books / liability waivers and said whoever hands them back can meet the one and only Krabby the Clown. The kids got so excited and Krabby was all they wanted to see. Mr. Krabs told SpongeBob to stall the kids while he counts their money. But the kids were not happy to see him one teeny bit. SpongeBob tried saying he was Krabby the Clown's sidekick, the Krabby Patty burglar, but the kids had no interest. He tried blowing uniquely shaped bubbles for the kids, but they couldn't care less. Wow, these are the most shallow kids ever if they'd rather see your average everyday clown instead of uniquely shaped bubbles that aren't average and you don't see every day. The kids booed SpongeBob as he tried to blow a third bubble, which popped and he got the bubble liquid in his eyes. He stumbled and landed in a pit of bowling balls that Mr. Krabs put in Krabby Land for some fucking reason. The kids laughed at this, which gave SpongeBob the idea to hurt himself even further. Pouring more bubble soap in his eyes made them happy, which led into a montage of 7 other ways he got himself hurt. After a certain point, he went into Mr. Krabs' office all beaten up, with the kids using his arms and legs as boomerangs. Why is it taking so long for his arms and legs to grow back? Mr. Krabs said all the money was counted, so Krabby the Clown has arrived. SpongeBob went outside and hyped up the kids so much that they ran inside.
Krabby! 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 Hooray!
That is the most kids have ever seen be that excited for a clown at a single time. Mr. Krabs introduced Krabby the Clown, which ultimately ended up being himself and not an actual clown, much to everybody's shock. SpongeBob felt betrayed that Mr. Krabs lied to the kids and called him Cheapy the Cheapskate instead. Mr. Krabs even admitted all he wanted was the money the parents give to their kids, and that's why he did all that. As he left through the back window, the kids found him and beat him up. SpongeBob was sad because he didn't know the true meaning of summer. He thought he knew it a long time ago.
You mean this morning?
Yeah.
Yesterday, really. That was when Mr. Krabs lied to him. SpongeBob and Squidward went outside and found money falling from the sky, which was the money the kids took back from Mr. Krabs. And Mr. Krabs was tied up by the thugs and forced to eat a truckload of lima beans, and the episode ends. So that was Krabby Land, and I'd say that's a fine episode of the show. I do like SpongeBob throughout this episode. I love how excited he is for summertime, and that montage that occurs with the various ways he gets himself hurt to make the kids happy. The track that plays here, You're Nice, is another one of my all-time favorite tracks in the history of the show. I also like when he feels devastated when Mr. Krabs lied about Krabby the Clown. That shows that he doesn't always blindly follow Mr. Krabs and supports him in everything he does. I won't lie, when I was a kid and Mr. Krabs was building up Krabby the Clown, I honestly thought there was going to be an actual clown later on, and I was a little befuddled when it ended up being a fake. Now, I was never afraid of clowns when I was younger, but I ended up not seeing a lot of them in person either. I was definitely more of a magician guy myself. Now, Mr. Krabs himself, he is kind of devious and manipulative in this episode, getting the kids to believe there was a good play area and a clown in order to just get them to eat Krabby Patties. But I never really had an issue with it this time. Up to this point in the series when he was the antagonist, he's not too bad here in my opinion. He's not risking others' lives or doing animal cruelty. He actually does try to make something for the kids, even though it was really half-assed. And I honestly always got a shy smile whenever Mr. Krabs picked up Monroe in this shot, even though it was just to see if he had any loose change. And sure, he did say he wasn't interested in giving the kids a fun time and only wanted their parents' cash, but he got beat up right after he said that, so it's fine. And I like how he was punished by being tied up and forced to eat a truckload of lima beans. For me personally, the low point of the episode was always the scene with the kids booing SpongeBob while he was trying to blow a bubble. It was kind of loud and annoying, and I felt sorry for SpongeBob here. The kids are pure jerks during that part while SpongeBob was trying his best. And I get it, they're kids. I had a problem of immediate gratification when I was a kid too, and there's a lot of things I did in general that still haunt me to this very day. I shockingly never had a problem when the kids laugh and cheer at SpongeBob hurting himself because that was part of his own plan. And physical comedy can be pretty funny when it's done right. I'm sure that's one of the reasons why Modern Family was so beloved back in the 2010s.
All night long.
Aside from that low point where SpongeBob got glared and booed at non-stop, I do like the rest of this episode. Just the presence of the big thugs with the lima beans are pretty humorous to me. And I do like that shot of Mr. Krabs driving the boat when he couldn't see in front of him. SpongeBob was onto something with that, saying it was cool. Something like this can make one thing about fast food places like McDonald's having the play places to get kids to eat there. And I will say, I definitely did a lot of both of those when I was a kid. Maybe that's why many play places aren't around anymore. Nah, that's not the reason why. Even if that's not what this episode was poking fun at, I still like it for most of what else it does. I like the contrast of SpongeBob trying to find the true meaning of summer to Mr. Krabs knowing what the true meaning of summer is and how thrown together Krabby Land looked when it was first revealed. But if I'm being 100% honest, I'm honestly finding it hard to come up with more to say about this one. It doesn't do anything horrible, but there's not a lot worth freaking out over either. Even as a kid, the montage of SpongeBob getting hurt was the scene I remembered the most, and you can make of that whatever you want. This isn't my least favorite episode of the season at all, but it's not one I'd put in my top 10 season 3 episodes either. Maybe if there was a real Krabby the Clown and got mad at Mr. Krabs for stealing his identity or something, that would make it funnier, but who knows. It's still good, but I can't really find much more to say about it, so I'll end it with this fun fact. SpongeBob got ripped in half right here, and he was also ripped in half in the previous episode, number 110, I Had an Accident, as well as these 2 times. But what are the odds he got ripped in half 2 episodes back to back? Krabby Land is a fine episode. The characters are good here for the most part, and there's some fun sequences in here. Say what you will about Mr. Krabs in this, but it's not his fault that children prefer to see SpongeBob in pain over his uniquely shaped bubbles. But other than that, that's all I gotta say. Maybe this would be more enjoyable if they actually did reveal what the true meaning of summer is. And I just figured out what the true meaning of summer really is. Camping. That's a fun summer thing to do. And what's camping without a campfire story? This is the story of a guy who was talking about a camping-themed episode of his favorite TV show. One day, he was sitting at his desk when he said, "I wish I could go camping right now, but it's been raining all weekend." Well, I guess there's only one thing to do. The camping episode is the episode where SpongeBob and Patrick go camping outside SpongeBob's house, and Squidward ends up joining them out of spite. Like Krabby Land, this episode aired on April 3rd, 2004, and is also known as the episode that introduces everybody's favorite undersea animal, the sea bear.
A sea bear?
This episode also has the iconic Campfire song, one of the best songs in any animated show ever, and has, unironically, one of the coolest episode titles ever, since it actually has the word episode in its title. So that's why people don't really like episode 219, Choir Boys from season 6. This episode is simple, but I'd argue it does a lot more interesting and funny shenanigans than its sister episode did. I don't know if that's a controversial opinion, but this episode as a whole did stick with me more than Krabby Land did when I was younger. And this was one of the episodes I was really looking forward to rewatching from this season. So let's stop stalling and rewatch it so we can take a look at the sea bear again. And now, here's the part where he starts talking about camping and sea bears. So the episode starts up, and one evening, Squidward was very happy because SpongeBob and Patrick were going camping that weekend. He was finally happy to get some peace and quiet for once, but he soon found out that SpongeBob and Patrick only went camping 10 feet outside of SpongeBob's house. SpongeBob says it's fine as long as they're at least somewhere outside, saying everybody else was a soft city folk reading books in bed while they're outside pitting themselves against nature. They're still reading books, albeit they're in sleeping bags and not beds, but still. SpongeBob told Squidward to have fun inside, but Squidward took offense to this, believing SpongeBob was saying Squidward couldn't handle camping outside. This was untrue, of course, and SpongeBob really just meant good night, see you tomorrow, but Squidward still decided to join them out of spite, much to SpongeBob and Patrick's glee. He came back outside with a huge hiking backpack and everything necessary for the night. Except a can opener. Squidward tried to set up his remote control self-assembling tent, but it malfunctioned and he had to set it up normally like a real camper. SpongeBob and Patrick observed, and after some struggles, the tent was set up, and then collapsed again. So he just chose to lie out under the stars anyway. Squidward got hungry, and SpongeBob and Patrick had some marshmallows, just like the astronauts eat. So they had on their water helmets for when they go to Sandy's house, and kept going over and over again. Squidward decided to just go inside and get a can opener to eat some Swedish barnacle balls, but SpongeBob and Patrick said it wasn't proper to forget something like that when going camping. At least they're not using technology while they're camping. So Squidward chose to have some marshmallows instead. And as he roasted them, Patrick kept accidentally burning his own, and his blowing them out resulted in Squidward getting covered in burnt sticky shit. So this led into everybody's favorite song from the season, the Campfire song. It started off in a normal speed and tempo, and became very fast very quickly, as most good songs do. At the end of the song, they destroyed the instruments. Squidward said that wasn't relaxing, but him playing a slower song on the clarinet was. But as he started, SpongeBob launched a marshmallow into his clarinet, which made him choke before SpongeBob saved him. Squidward got pissed at this, but SpongeBob explained that playing the clarinet could possibly attract
A sea bear.
Squidward thought that sea bears were just a myth, but SpongeBob and Patrick showed some magazines featuring sea bears, including one about a lady marrying a sea bear. What the heck would that baby look like? Squidward thought that this was ridiculous at first, but after SpongeBob kept saying he knew this guy, who knew this guy, who knew this guy, who knew this guy, Squidward decided to learn everything to keep a sea bear away. SpongeBob and Patrick explained how things like playing the clarinet, waving flashlights back and forth, stomping around, eating cube cheese, wearing a sombrero in a goofy fashion, clown shoes or a hoop skirt, and screeching like a chimpanzee can all attract sea bears. Holy crap, I need a second. Squidward tried to prove that they were wrong by doing everything that would supposedly attract a sea bear. SpongeBob and Patrick decided to draw an anti-sea bear circle to protect themselves, the only way to stop a sea bear attack. Squidward thought he knew better and gloated that a sea bear never showed up. But soon enough, it did, and he got mauled by it. After the sea bear swam away, SpongeBob and Patrick told Squidward to come inside the anti-sea bear circle. Squidward didn't think a dirt circle would stop the sea bear and ran for his life. You would think Squidward would have learned and understood more about sea bears at this point. But Squidward got attacked again because sea bears hate running. He tried limping home, but got attacked because sea bears hate limping more than running. Then he tried crawling home and got attacked because they hate crawling even more. Then he got attacked for no reason, just because the sea bear hates Squidward. Been there. Squidward tried drawing a circle, but got attacked because he drew an oval. So he ran inside SpongeBob and Patrick's circle, which did indeed drive the sea bear away, much to everybody's delight. But the sound of a sea bear attack attracts a sea rhinoceros, which is repelled by anti-sea rhinoceros undergarments, which Squidward unfortunately wasn't wearing, and the episode ends. I wonder if a different shape would also be another way to repel a sea rhinoceros. So that was a camping episode. And real quick, I gotta say this. With all the mean SpongeBob products and food that Nickelodeon is selling nowadays, I wonder why they currently haven't made Swedish barnacle balls or these SpongeBob themed marshmallows. Now with that out of the way, this is an awesome episode. Of course you'd say that. It mostly takes place in the front yard in front of SpongeBob's house, but the plot takes a lot of fun turns. And while they are pretty typical of camping trips, like marshmallows, campfire songs, failing to set up a tent, being scared of bears, they're still really funny regardless. Obviously, I love the campfire song like everybody else on the planet and the next planet, but I can't say anything new about it that hasn't been said already. It would be cool if it was a pinch longer, like maybe 30 seconds longer at the most, but that's it really. But I get why it couldn't have been. The story flows at a really good pace, and there isn't much that could be trimmed out. And I really like how the story flows in this episode too. It would have been impressive if the song was 10 to 30 seconds longer, but still. I have a ton of fun childhood memories with this episode. I talked about this one with my closest friends a lot, and I also used to sleep in a sleeping bag in the main TV room in my house, and sometimes watch this episode when I had it on VHS or DVD. This isn't related to the episode, but I did used to have these SpongeBob bed tents, and it was fun to have them on my bed when it was a single back in the day. A couple friends used to ask me to sing SpongeBob songs, and the Campfire song was something they almost always had me sing. I also love the scene with Patrick burning his marshmallows. My favorite part about that was his scream. I also remember this one time in chemistry class of junior year of high school where we actually roasted marshmallows over Bunsen burners. I tried to imitate Patrick in this scene, but I never got too far in it. I didn't try to blow it out in anybody's face, of course, but after the first marshmallow I tried that caught fire, somebody else had to do it for me. And sometimes after that, I do still have a bad habit of actually letting my marshmallows get too burned, even when I'm not trying to. I'm very particular about my s'mores. I like marshmallows to be pretty much just golden or so, not burnt. I also think that when I was a kid, I had a Mandela effect where Patrick spit way more than just 3 marshmallows at Squidward during this scene. More than just 2 hitting him in the face before the one at the back of his head. The scene with Squidward trying to set up a tent was really funny, as well as the banter at the beginning of the episode before Squidward ends up joining the others.
That's it, I'm in.
I also like the opening scene in Squidward's bedroom where he imitates SpongeBob. My best friend and I love the marshmallow scene with the helmets, and I remember one time in the middle school cafeteria where I pitched the thought of the helmets being for when SpongeBob and Patrick visit Sandy, and he and I have stuck with that correct thought ever since. I love the sequence where SpongeBob and Patrick tell Squidward everything that attracts a sea bear. I like the eerie music and how the tone starts to get more suspenseful. I love that it builds during this whole part to when Squidward starts doing everything they told him not to when it leads up to the climax where Squidward gets mauled by the sea bear multiple times. I also like the detail where every time the sea bear beats the shit out of Squidward, the same music plays. If you listen closely, when the music fades away when the sea bear leaves, it progressively gets higher and higher pitched. I remember sometimes as a kid, I laughed a ton whenever the sea bear sped in like a cat and would beat Squidward up. I also remember this one time before and after health class of freshman year of high school, a couple friends asked me to name everything that attracts a sea bear. I would always state them in the order the episode did, but she would always interrupt me and mention how a sea bear would attack you if he doesn't like you. Been there. And she would show me some old website that probably isn't around anymore that listed everything that attracts a sea bear, and the attack out of hatred was the first listed. I love when all the characters are happy that they drove the sea bear away at the end. The sea bear has appeared in a couple episodes later in the series, but it's too bad the sea rhinoceros never did. I love the part where SpongeBob repeats "who knew this guy" over and over again.
Who knew this guy's cousin?
As well as the visuals of the newspaper and magazine that SpongeBob and Patrick brought up about sea bears. And I like when SpongeBob helped Squidward immediately after the whole thing where he shot the marshmallow. This episode takes place in the Seoul location, and it is rather simple at the end of the day, but I really love it. This is definitely one of the best episodes of the show, no question. It was also the only Season 3 episode to crack the top 10 fan favorites of the Ultimate SpongeBob Sponge Bash in 2009. It's still a bit strange that it was the only Season 3 episode, because there are some other Season 3 episodes that are totally worthy of being on the list. But this is still worthy of being called one of the best episodes of the show in my opinion. Sometimes a simple episode is enough to open one's heart and mind and just make them love it so much. Hell, it's so simple that the title has the word episode in it instead of calling it Camping in Bikini Bottom or something. There's so much to love about this episode, like the sea bear, the character antics, and I could really go on. This episode is just another example of the show's timelessness and will always be a joy to watch. Or you can just ignore everything I said and just like it for the Campfire song. That's fine too. The camping episode is an awesome episode. So awesome that it'll never get old no matter how many times we've seen it. If only that were true for everything else in reality. And that is the story of a guy who talked about SpongeBob going camping. And the moral of the story is, to anybody out there who thinks geometry is worthless and it'll never be used in real life, to that I say, a shape just stopped a huge ferocious sea bear. Anything is possible.